this video, I'll be discussing the latest updates on the Ukraine-Russia war. If you're interested, be sure to keep watching until the end, as this video will be packed with informative content. The 501st Marine Battalion, a prominent Ukrainian military unit, has joined the counteroffensive against Russian forces, as reported by Forbes. Comprising 400 Marines, the battalion is now at the forefront of combat missions. However, their past has been marked by a controversial decision to avoid combat during the Russian invasion of Crimea. In 2022, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reactivated the battalion, and they were deployed to Mariupol. Despite holding out for several months, they were forced to surrender due to a lack of supplies. Notably, the battalion did not participate in the final defense of Mariupol, surrendering to Russian forces instead. An investigation into the unauthorized surrender has been launched, focusing on senior officers. Meanwhile, some Marines have returned to Ukraine through prisoner exchanges, while others remain in Russia. The 501st Marine Battalion has been re-established with new personnel and is now actively engaged in combat. Initially deployed in the Kherson region, they have since moved to the Kharkiv region to defend Vovchansk. Recently, they advanced 160 kilometers between Vovchansk and Kupiansk, supporting the Ukrainian invasion forces' expansion past Sudza, near the Russian-Ukrainian border. The battalion's participation in the current campaign offers a chance for redemption, and their actions are crucial in the ongoing conflict. Their progress and determination will be closely watched in the coming days. Ukrainian forces have launched a drone attack on an oil base in Russia's Rostov region, sparking a massive fire that has continued for 4 days. The blaze has engulfed 20 fuel tanks and covers an area of 10,000 square meters. Firefighters are struggling to contain the fire due to hot and windy weather. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops are closing in on a strategic location in the Kursk region, where up to 3,000 Russian soldiers may be surrounded. The Ukrainian military has been destroying bridges across the S River, cutting off Russian supply lines. Ukrainian forces have also captured several villages in the region and are advancing towards the S River. According to Ukrainian sources, between 2,000 to 3,000 Russian soldiers remain trapped in the area. A Ukrainian general believes that Russian President Vladimir Putin is afraid of his own troops turning against him and is relying on proxy forces and special services. The general claims that Putin is haunted by the ghost of a past uprising and fears a repeat of that situation. The Ukrainian military's offensive in the region has caught the Russian forces off guard, and they are struggling to respond. Russia is deploying troops from distant regions, including conscripts, but they lack experience in combat. A Belarusian leader's recent statement suggests that Putin may be seeking negotiations to end the conflict. The statement implies that Russia has achieved its goals and can now end the war. Belarus has deployed aircraft and air defense troops to its border with Ukraine, following President Alexander Lukashenko's announcement to station a third of the country's troops along the border. The Belarusian military has deployed anti-aircraft missiles and soldiers from the Radiotechnical Corps. Major General Andrei Lenovich, commander of the Belarusian Air Defense Forces, described the move as a significant increase on national television. This development comes after Lukashenko stated that Belarus had redeployed almost a third of its army to the border due to the alleged presence of over 120,000 Ukrainian soldiers. Ukraine believes that Putin may launch another attack from Belarusian territory, following the invasion of Ukrainian troops into the Kursk region of the Russian Federation. Lukashenko has called for negotiations, but Ukraine has not confirmed the Belarusian deployment to their shared 1,084 kilometers border. Russia has used Belarus as a staging ground for its invasion of Ukraine, moving troops through Belarusian territory to attack from the north. Russia also relocated some tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus in 2023. Recent reports suggest that Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov's forces may have betrayed Russia by entering a secret non-aggression pact with Ukraine. This alleged treachery has sparked outrage among Russian military propagandists. who accused Kadirov of abandoning his positions and avoiding combat. Meanwhile, Belarusian fighters are actively involved in the conflict, with some fighting alongside Ukrainian units in the KURSK region. The TUR unit, composed of Belarusian volunteers, has been spotted carrying out complex operations and retrieving damaged Russian equipment. A Belarusian tank unit has recently acquired a modern Russian tank, the T-90M Prorov 3, as a trophy for Ukraine. This development highlights the complex role of Belarus in the war, with both official support for Russia and active fighting in Ukraine. Ukrainian forces have claimed a victory over Russian Marines in the KURSK region. The battle took place near the village of Kachuk in the Kharkiv district, resulting in significant losses for the Russian side. According to reports, the 810th Marine Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces was defeated, with many soldiers killed or wounded. This information comes from Russian sources, including a publication that cited AZ Channel. The report states that the Russian Marines were ambushed in a forest area near Kachuk, resulting in heavy casualties. The Ukrainian military has also captured a Russian Marine commander who had previously fought with the Wagner PMC. Meanwhile, there are allegations that Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov's forces have betrayed Russia by entering a secret agreement with Ukraine. Russian military bloggers claim that Kadyrov's men avoided combat with Ukrainian forces and abandoned their positions. This has sparked outrage among Russian military propagandists, who accuse Kadyrov of treachery. The situation has raised concerns about the reliability of Kadyrov's forces in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine's military operation in Russia's Kursk region and the forced evacuation of thousands of Russians could potentially challenge Putin's authority. Pro-Kremlin military bloggers have criticized the Russian Defense Ministry, and oligarch Oleg Deripaska has publicly condemned the war. American researcher Amy Knight wrote that Deripaska's comments caused a stir on Russian social media, suggesting that he may not have spoken out if other business and political elites didn't share his views. Knight notes that Putin's assistant, Nikolai Patrushev, may also be among those questioning the war. Putin has ordered his troops to push Ukrainian forces out of the Kursk region by October 1st, but ordinary Russians may not protest due to propaganda. However, Putin's elite support is uncertain, and he shouldn't assume they'll forever back a war with no end in sight. Ukraine has expanded its control in the Kursk region, and Russia is trying to send mixed units to the area. The immediate objectives of Ukrainian units are becoming clearer, but the next phase of the operation is uncertain. Meanwhile, a fire is still raging after a Ukrainian drone attack on an oil base in Russia's Rostov region. The fire covers a wide area, with successive explosions and injured firefighters. Rescuers and equipment have been brought to the scene. A U.S.-based private military company, Forward Observation Group, has confirmed its involvement in Ukraine's attacks on the Kursk region. They posted a photo on Instagram with their mercenaries posing in front of an armored vehicle alongside Ukrainian fighters. The American administration denies involvement in planning or preparing Ukraine's attacks on the Kursk region. Meanwhile, some Russians in the region are welcoming Ukrainian forces and asking to be liberated from Vladimir Putin. Ukrainian forces have established humanitarian corridors, allowing civilians to leave the region. Over 130,000 people have fled or been evacuated since August 6th. Some have found shelter in a boxing club in Kursk, which has been converted into a temporary shelter. Evacuated residents are being taken to recreational facilities in Russian-occupied Crimea. However, Ukraine's officials argue that this is a violation of the Geneva Convention, as it involves transferring population from Russian territory to occupied Crimea. A Russian woman has spoken out about her husband, a mobilized soldier, who went missing after being sent to the Kursk region. She claims he was wounded and refused to return to the front, but was arrested and sent to the region anyway. The soldier, along with 150 others, was sent to the Kursk region despite their refusal to fight. Upon arrival, they were advised by officers to flee if possible. Some soldiers took this advice and attempted to escape but were caught and detained. Meanwhile, the British government has acknowledged its role in supplying weapons to Ukraine, including tanks and drones, to aid in their defense. This decision was made to openly recognize the degree of British involvement and to reassure allies and the public of their commitment to supporting Ukraine. The use of British weapons, including drones, has played a significant role in Ukraine's advance in the KURSK region. The British government believes that this open acknowledgement of their involvement will encourage allies to provide further support to Ukraine.